School sucks. And I don't think that anyone will argue with that. Teachers, students, principals, janitors, pro wrestlers, cowboy ranchers, and even parents will all agree that school is actually garbons. But, like every kid, there was one subject that interests me a lot more than others. History and math are normally the subjects that most kids find boring and dull, but for me, history was always super cool. Ever since I even exited the womb, I have found history to be dope as hell. So it was a no-brainer that I found historical video games to be hella dope. Since my first days of playing video games all the way to today, I have always played historical video games. The Total War games, every Paradox game ever. But one game that always stood out to me more than the others was Darkest of Days. I don't know why, because it really isn't that good of a game, but I always find myself coming back and playing the game. Like I said, it isn't really a good game necessarily. If you look at its reviews, you'll see what I mean. But we shouldn't be so hard on the game, because it was made by an indie studio and an indie publisher, so you shouldn't hate on it too much. And when I say indie, I mean indie. The game was created by a development team called 8 Monkey Labs. Yes, that is the actual name and the proper spelling. 8 Monkey Labs doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, and according to their LinkedIn page, since the release of Darkest Days, which was all the way back in 2009, they are looking for people to fill in jobs for a new project. New project. 10 years later, still looking for a new project. Okay, so that's weird, but what about their website? It's gotta have some sort of information, right? Well, the domain page for their website is up for sale, and I don't know why anyone would ever buy the domain page for 8 Monkey Labs for $2,000. But I digress. So the studio is shady, but what about the publisher? Well, the publisher, Phantom EFX, they're one of the top dogs, the cream of the crop, okay? When it comes to video game publishing. You see, besides Darkest of Days, Phantom EFX can boast other games such as Real Deal Slots and Battle Slot. Those really popular games that you all have played before. Yeah. Okay, so the people behind the game are shady, but what about the game itself? Well, it's actually strangely good, for whatever reason. Darkest of Days is a single-player first-person shooter that revolves around time travel. Yeah, you heard me right. Time travel. You play as this guy named Alexander Morris at the Battle of Little Bighorn. You see, Morris is a part of General Custer's army, and they're about to get wiped the fuck out. So Morris watched General Custer get actually shot in the face, and then, right before he's about to die, a spaceman time traveler comes out of this portal and saves him. And then he's taken to this lab called Chronotech, which is in the future. And not his future, like our future as well. Like, probably 100 years or so after us. I don't know. You see, the reason why he was taken there is because his registration papers at Washington, D.C. were lost, or misplaced, or someone put him in the shredder on accident. So basically, he's MIA. And this Chronotech lab deals with fixing anomalies and protecting the past, which is ironic for 2 reasons. Firstly, because they were the ones who created time travel. So if you're keen on protecting time, then why would you even create a thing that could mess with time? Secondly, they literally just stole this guy from the past, which is definitely not protecting history. You're destroying it, but whatever. But basically, what Chronotech does is they take these people from the past who are MIA or whatever, who are just lost or just not well known at all, and they basically take them to the present and they have them work for them so they can fix time anomalies. Which again, I don't know why they can't just have people who were, from their day, from their modern day, do it. I don't know why they have to go back in time, but it kind of sounds cool though, so I'll give them credit for that. So this is where the game gets pretty awesome. You go back to different eras like World War I and Civil War and World War II, and you fix all these anomalies. And you fix all these time anomalies which have started because the guy who created time travel and the former leader of Chronotech, Dr. Coel. You see, Coel has gone missing, and all these anomalies are appearing because of him. And now, Chronotech is being led by, Eyebrows lady over there.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Not only do you get to use all the historic weapons, but you also get to use these creative, futuristic weapons that will absolutely shred all of those who are against you. I mean, these weapons are insane. They just shred people. It's so fun. So we play the game, and you basically go back and you just fix all these anomalies. But as you go on, you find out that there's this other group called the Opposition, and they're the ones fucking all the shit up. You see, they're the ones who are making time all weird and shit because they're doing stuff they're not supposed to. They're killing people who were supposed to die and keeping people alive who were supposed to live. And you gotta fix their stuff. The weird thing is, after you fix their stuff, they can just go back in time and then redo it again. I don't know why they wouldn't be able to do that. It would just create like this infinite loop where you're just going back in time each time trying to fix the thing. But again, the game is pretty dope, so you just gotta have to go along with it. You have this partner named Agent Dexter, and he's a boss. Tell him, Agent Dexter.
Yes, you're the fucking new guy, huh?
And you and him do a bunch of crazy shit. You blow up some bridges, you kill some Nazis, nothing better than killing Nazis, and you also steal a motherfucking blimp. Like, how awesome is that? It gets even more awesome because there's this really complex part later in the game where you're in this Nazi POW camp in World War II, and you have to free your buddy Dexter because, you know, he's trapped. And then he gets freed, but then he tells you that it was you from the future who freed him, so then you have to go back in time and do it and free him, and it's cool. It sounds weird, but it's cool. You go through the end and you're, you know, trying to kill some opposition dudes and you're trying to fix time, and then you go all the way to the end of the game, which ends up in Pompeii. You go all the way to Pompeii the day that the volcanoes were erupting, and basically there's this giant anomaly going on, and Dr. Coel is there, and the opposition is there, and there's all these Rome boys, and they have flamethrowers, and they're doing crazy stuff. So you battle your way through the opposition and some Rome boys, and then you find Dr. Coel, and he's, you know, pulling a Bob Ross, basically. And then the opposition leader is there, and as you try to rescue Dr. Coel because he's gone absolutely mad, the opposition leader comes by, and he's all like, we're Chronotech from the future, and we were trying to stop a disease that was formed by the people that you were saving, because this disease, which is like Ebola and HIV combined, killed 2 billion people in the future, so we were trying to save them. And then they kill Bob Ross.
Hey! What the
And then they
fuck?
kill Bob Ross because he was like, we shouldn't change the path. And then the game ends on a cliffhanger because the opposition leader is all like, you want to join? And Dexter's all like,
So, what the hell do we do now, brother?
and also the setting is absolutely awesome, and I think that's the reason this game is so intriguing to me and why I play it, because it's unlike anything I've ever played before, or have played since. A futuristic but historical first-person shooter like that isn't particularly common. All the other elements of the game are just okay. The controls, the voice acting, the graphics, they're all so-so, but for some reason the setting and the story is just so cool. And I think that's the important part about this game. Even if your game isn't necessarily the highest quality, if you still have a good story and a good setting, it could still work to an extent. Judging by the cliffhanger, it seems like there was supposed to be a second game, but to no one's surprise, development never began on a second game. A mix of poor reviews and probably low sales made a second game probably impossible. And maybe that makes the game a little bit better, because now it just stands there alone in the gaming market by itself, with a developer that no one's heard of, a publisher that publishes garbage games, and a fan base that has given it cult status. I mean, look at these Steam reviews. They basically say all the same stuff about the game that I do. How it's just a really cool and awesome game, even if it's not necessarily the best. So in conclusion, Darkest of Days is an example of a game that isn't good, but benefits from a cool setting and story, which gives it a small little cult status, and, you know, a lot of games can't really boast that, so that's pretty cool. If you've ever played Darkest of Days, how do you feel about it? Let me know in the comments below, and have a decent day. Don't have a good day, because, you know, if you have too many good days, then, you know, because then when you have a bad day, it's going to be a really bad day. So sometimes you just want to have okay days, you know what I mean? So have a decent okay day.